I want to bring up Miss Shellie Edington. If you guys would give her a great round of applause.
Oh, thank you guys. It's wonderful to be here. I am very grateful and honored to speak in front of future business leaders of America, and just so encouraged. As a 54-year-old living in America and just doing my thing, running my own business, it's nice to know that we have a great generation coming up who's excited about being entrepreneurs and going out in the corporate realm. And so it's an honor for me to speak to you. I have a mobile gymnastics company, as Josh said. We go into daycares and parks and recs and flip kids around. And have any of you ever done that, like when you were little, went to a preschool gymnastics class? Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I started it in the year 2000, and I was about 36. My youngest was 9, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start a career. And I wanted to do something that would help kids, plus provide eventually a financial vehicle to, help out with the finances of the family. And so I started working in the mornings, and then I'd work in the evenings, and then my kids grew up, and about 10 years in, or like in 2010, I really had kind of sacrificed my body for my business. I was just all about that. It was a lot of work, and I grinded really hard in the business realm to develop this financial vehicle. I had teachers working for me. I had like 500 students. We had a lot going on, and I had started noticing pains in my shoulders and in my knees, and at the gym I was working out at, they were like, well, you need to rest. We're just gonna kind of set you out to pasture now. You can't do anything, we don't want you to get hurt. So I was 46 years old and looking at possible retirement. And so about that time, a parent came up to me and they're like, hey, have you heard of CrossFit Kids? And I'm like, oh no, what's that? Like more competition. And she said, well, it's sort of like what you're doing, age-appropriate sports readiness training, and that's how I kind of use my gymnastics company. Is it gets kids ready for sports. It helps build confidence and ability in their movements, social interaction, social awareness, taking turns, all that stuff that little kids, need to learn. And so I was like, oh no, I'd like to learn more about this. She said, well, I've got the owner's name and he'd like to meet you. And I'm like, really? That was very refreshing. The quote that he had up there that, integrity and honesty, it definitely needs to be compatible with running a business. You want to put in exceptional effort and intentional effort into building your company, but you also need to do it with integrity or you're not going to go very far. So I was like, sure, I'd love to meet him. He obviously wants to see what I'm doing. I want to see what he's doing. Let's check each other out. So he said, I'll come to one of your classes if you come to one of mine. So obviously at this point, I have no clue what CrossFit is. I'm like, oh, it's just some sort of exercise fad that I've never heard of and whatever. And so he comes to one of my classes at Pal Park and Rec. He brings his daughter. She flips out and has a great time. And he invites me to his gym, and I'm thinking I'm going to a CrossFit Kids class. And so I show up, and there's no kids, and it's just me and a few other people, and I'm like, oh. And I always dress in workout clothes, because I'm a coach, so I look like I'm ready for a workout. And he's like, okay, so you're gonna join us for a workout. I'm like, really? All right, cool. That's what I came here for. And so I start the workout, and like an hour later, I'm like peeling myself off the floor, maybe not even an hour. And I came to some discoveries that I couldn't do a push-up anymore, as he gleefully announced in that video, or a push-up or a pull-up. And it was very humbling. I had been a class 9 gymnast and to not be able to do that, I'm like, wow, what happened? It's been like 30 years. Why can't I still do this? But I wasn't able to do that, and then I was literally having trouble breathing. It was horrible, and the coach looked at me and he said, hey, if you want, you can have a 2-week free trial. And as tantalizing as I'm sure he thought that was, I was like, I am not coming back. That was terrible. I really felt like the end goal was death. And so an hour later, I'm still shaking. I'm like, oh, that was bad, and I'm never going back. And I was like, why do you want to go back? He's giving me 2 free weeks, and it's really, even complaining about wanting to work out and wanting to get back in shape. And they would actually give me exercises and some mobility movements to do for my shoulders and my knees. And I'm like, wow, because the first thing they asked me is, well, let me see your squat. And I'm like this. And they're like, oh, that's not really a squat. And I'm like, well, it hurts my knees. And he said, well, if you don't, use your knees, you're gonna lose your knees. And I was like, oh, okay. And so now I can actually squat down to here, where I could not do that when I started CrossFit when I was 46 years old. And anyhow, so I started going, and because I really got mad at myself for being afraid. I mean, literally, my career is to teach people to go to the gym and not be afraid. When you think about it, it's like trying to help people develop confidence at a young age to go work out. Like, so you have to go. You can't be a chicken. And so I went back and went 3 times a week, and 4 times, and then 5 times, and started like totally drinking the CrossFit Kool-Aid. I was down in it left and right, talking about it all the time. My family was like, stop, you lost me at wall balls, I don't care, you know? And so it just kind of took over my life. My husband was traveling a lot for work, and he'd come home on the weekends. He's like, what are you doing? Because he could see the physical adaptations. I was losing weight, I was, muscles were becoming more toned, and anyhow, so there's a CrossFit Open every year. Apparently there's CrossFit Games. As we saw, I had no idea that even existed. And they go, how old are you? And I said, 46. And my coach was like, you're competing. I'm like, in what? You know, I had no idea that any of this stuff was even standardized, or you could count it or judge it or anything. And so I said, well, you're gonna have to show me everything, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Because from my experience, when you compete, you know what you're doing, right? You have a routine as a gymnast. You go out, you do your thing, and you come back and you get a score. But CrossFit is unknown. You don't know what you're gonna do. And I'm like, oh, great. No idea what I'm doing. And so I did this competition. It was 6 weeks, and you did it at your gym, so it wasn't as daunting. And I ended up placing 70th in the world. And my coach was like, wow, you might be kind of good at this CrossFit stuff. You want to see how good? So that just kind of became my why. People would say, like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to see how good I can be. You know, I was basically told that I was done in the fitness realm, and I really was so thankful that someone would let an old person like me compete. I'm like, this is so cool. I didn't even know they had masters competitions in other sports, and but I was just so honored and felt so privileged to have the opportunity to do it. So my coach and I set up a plan, and basically it was to, you know, hone my strengths and kind of make some of my weaknesses strengths. And obviously be consistent. I had to add more time to the gym. I was literally training probably about, at that point, 10 hours a week in addition to working full-time, and then eventually it became like 15 hours a week of training as well as working full-time. So it definitely becomes a part-time job, and showing up and being consistent is important, but what's most important is that intentional effort. Like he was saying in the video, and I always listen to that video like before I competed. It was something that really gets me riled up. I love it. Not the one of me, but the one they showed first. Just really focusing on my why, making sure that I'm giving good intentional effort every time I was in the gym. I do the Open, I play 70th. My goal is like, I'm gonna make it to the games. They take the top 20 in the world, so I had a little ways to go. In 2012, I placed 37th, and I was kind of crushed because I really thought I was gonna make it. But I got like some sort of upper respiratory chest thing, and it's a 5-week competition in February when everyone is like catching all the horrible viruses going around. And so I work with children, so it's like the worst possible combination. And so I missed it by like 12 burpees. Anybody know what a burpee is? They're horrible. And the first workout was 7 minutes of burpees. It was awful, just ugh. I hate those kind of workouts. And anyway, so I didn't make it. I made it in 2013, I placed 8th. And when I went to the games, I had this horrible anxiety attack. Anybody suffer from anxiety at all, ever? Oh. It was horrible. I hadn't had it since I was a gymnast, and then I remembered why I quit gymnastics. Because I hated competing. You know, I'd get there and I'd be like, I gotta go on the beam? What? You know? It was terrible. It was just like I was a different person. It was very, it was shocking not only to myself, but to my family and my coach, because they had never seen that Shellie before. She hadn't been brought out for about 30 years. And so I had to like figure out how to put her back and kind of retool, because I ended up placing 19th, which was really, really frustrating and upsetting to me. And so when I went back to the drawing board with my coach, it was not only be consistent and stay the plan, it's kind of like retweaking things, but it was like, how are we going to get this mental state to be a little bit better? And so in 2014, I placed, I made it, and made it to the games, and I didn't care. I was 49, and I was at the top of my age group, and see what happens, you know, and I didn't have any anxiety attacks because I honestly didn't care what happened, and I ended up placing 3rd and getting a medal and winning $3,000. So being more relaxed and calm, that really works, you know, and I was just able to just let myself go and have a good time and enjoy it. And I really enjoyed being on the podium. That was way better than 19th place. So I set my sights on winning it. In 2015, I was the #1 seed going in, and I had another horrible anxiety attack. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I ended up placing 5th, which is better than 19th. But in 2016, I decided to hire a sports psychologist, Dr. Case from the Athletic Mind Institute here in Dublin, and it just changed my life. Huge difference. When in that video where he talks about, winning the war between the ears, it was the most important thing. I'd already built the body, I built the machine that clearly could do what it had to do. But it was once I got there, it was between my ears, it was debilitating me. And so he did a podcast with me that helped me to kind of visualize myself at the games, because I wouldn't think about it. I would just ignore the fact that I had the games coming up. But I put myself in the games every day and got myself ready for it, did a lot of subconscious training and things like that, and that helped immensely. I went to the games in 2016 and I won by 60-some points, and it was really great. I also used my 19th and 5th place finishes to help me get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and get on an assault bike. Who knows what that is? It is a devil bike. It is horrible. I own one and I hate it with a passion. And also, I had to get up and start swimming in 2017, 5 weeks before the games, because I went again after I won. I went the next year. They announced a swim. Well, I had been swimming. They never had the Masters swim, and I didn't think they ever would because they thought we'd drown. But they went ahead and had a 500-meter swim, so I started swimming at 5 in the morning. I drive all the way from Reynoldsburg to Hilliard to Aquatic Adventures. Anyone ever been there? No. Well, swimming is really important. It's kind of an important skill to have. Out of all the fitness skills, besides running, probably swimming is a good one to be able to, swim and survive in the water. So it's okay, I probably should learn how to do this. And so I went to the 2017 games. They actually had an open water swim. It was run 1.5 miles, swim 500 meters, run another 1.5 miles, which obviously by looking at me, you can tell I'm a great runner and swimmer. So that was the worst. I ended up placing 18th. In that event, and then it was just a claw all the way to the top. And I ended up 2nd that year, and I missed first by 12 points, but honestly that win was, to be able to come from 18th place and get back up on the podium I was quite surprised and shocked that I made it there. So it was all good, but it just took a lot of consistency and overcoming obstacles and issues and things like that come up in your life. And I would be lying if I said it was a perfect trail. As you guys know, it never is. The road is usually lined with woulda, shoulda, couldas, and you gotta learn from it. You're gonna fail, but you're gonna pick yourself up and keep going. And right now, discovering your why you're in school, is, to obviously get the best grades you can to go on to college. You may not know what you want to do in college, that's okay if you don't have an idea, but look at your passions, look at your love, what you enjoy doing, and base your life on that. Don't look at, oh, well, if I pick this career, it's going to pay me so much money, and because money is not, it's just not a good motivator. It really isn't. You may think it is, but if you're looking at your life, oh my gosh, I've got to do this for 40 more years, that's a long time. 20 to 65, 24 to whatever. It's a long time to live your life doing something you hate 8 to 10 hours a day. Find something you love, enjoy it, all right? Decide, commit, act, succeed. That's pretty much my motto. If you guys have any questions, just let me know.